When I promised a part 2 to my preview of the NFL owners meeting that's going on in Dallas as I speak. It really starts on Wednesday. Tuesday they had committee meetings. I am not there this time. It's a short meeting with no decisions to be made, and as I said before, the discussions that will occur there are important, but they're not going to be the ones that lead to the final decisions that come next year. There will be another owners meeting in January. With that, I report that Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf is considering a type of subsidy of $200 million toward a stadium for the Raiders in Oakland, which will be between $900 million and $1 billion in total cost. The discussion is who would absorb any bond default loss should the bonds default. And what that means is if revenues tagged for this bond issue don't come through enough to pay off the bond, who has to eat the cost? Reportedly, Mayor Schaaf wants the Raiders to do it. My suggestion is that an LLC be given that responsibility, be set up and given that responsibility, and the bond trustee be allowed to hold mortgage title to a portion of the Coliseum that they could then take and resell in some way or reconstitute in a way that allows the return on the value that was lost by the bond default should that come to pass. But the bottom line is the public sector would not be left holding the bag, and neither would the Raiders in that instance, in the example that I present to you of my idea. Where we are with the Raiders is the Raiders basically have 6 weeks, and the city of Oakland has 6 weeks with the Raiders to come up with a plan. To the Raiders' credit, they have been at the table to talk with the city of Oakland. They have not treated the city of Oakland like the San Diego Chargers have treated San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer. Now, let's turn around and look at what's going on with Carson. Everyone's excited about what Bob Iger is going to bring to the table, but I caution, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, process over people. Having Bob Iger involved is fine, but the bottom line is it masks the fact that Carson has not appreciably moved forward and that $300 million financing gap issue has not been solved. And you would say, what's the bigger holdup? Well, the bigger holdup really has to do with franchise relocation fee. Now, I am told by a source that the franchise relocation fee will be calculated in this way. The Raiders' current total franchise value, the Raiders' franchise value estimated in Los Angeles. You subtract that franchise value, which will include the new stadium, from the Raiders' current franchise value in Oakland, and that difference times 50% is what the Raiders will have to pay to move from Oakland to Carson. The question is whether or not the Raiders will have to pay that amount themselves or with help. I can tell you this, that amount will be amortized. It will be spread over a period of years. And I say this based on experience of Houston paying its $750 million franchise fee to the National Football League. It wasn't all up front. It was over a period of 4 years. So basically $750 million divided by 4. This, I will release a calculation by tomorrow, is going to be less than that. Now, you would say, oh, Bob Iger was brought in to write that check, right? No. Bob Iger was not brought in to write that check. Bob Iger's net worth is $100 million total. He can't do that. And the way it's going to have to work is that money is going to have to be gotten by the sale of some combination of land, by the pegging of a revenue source, and other revenue sources. In other words, it's going to be a sum of those plus other types of revenue sources to pay off that franchise relocation fee. And of course, the NFL could decide to increase the amortization schedule. What do I mean? Basically give the Raiders more years to pay off that fee. It all depends. Now, that bite, that amount of money could be paid back in a number of different ways. It could be paid back in club seat sales over a lengthy period. There are a number of ways to pay back that fee. That's to be determined. But the bottom line is, and the real question is, how are you going to fill, first of all, the financing gap for the stadium itself? That's the one problem, okay? That's $300 million there. And then the franchise relocation fee. So you've got two problems. And that's what makes this less than a slam dunk to do. Stay tuned.